Here we have class person with two fields, last name and counter, but we see that the counter is a static field, public static int counter. What does it mean? Well, let's see. Here in the main method we create two persons object, person 1 and person 2, and we set the value for person 1 dot last name to Smith and person 2 dot last name to Williams. Of course, we already know that when we set the value for person 2 that last name to Williams, it does not affect the last name of person 1, because person 1 and person 2 are two different objects, and each one of them has its own field last name. There is no connection between last name of person 1 and last name of person 2. Of course, if we will create more persons object, it will be the same. Each one of them will have its own last name field. But the static field, in this case counter, it's completely different. A static field means that there is only one instance of this field. In this case counter, we have only one instance of the counter field, and this field, this instance of a counter field, does not belong to any person object, not to person 1, not to person 2, not to person 3. It does not belong to no person object. It even exists here before we create the first object. This field counter already exists. And the way to access this field is using not an object, person's object, because it is not bound to any person's object. The way to access this field is using the type itself, which here is a person. Person that counter. If we will try to access this field using an object, person object, we'll see that we have an error. We cannot do that. We cannot access this field using a person's object, because this field does not belong to any person object. The only way to access this field is using the name of the type itself, person.counter. And if we want to, for example, to increase the value in this field, in the same way, person.counter equals person.counter plus 5. And here in this example, the reason for this counter field is to count how many persons we create in this program. In any time of the life of our program, we can know how many persons we already create. In this case here, after these two persons, this is supposed to be already equals to 2. And how we did it? We use the constructor. We already know what constructors means. If you don't remember, you can listen to the previous lessons. Just in short, a constructor is a function, a method that will run right after we create a new person. And the name of the constructor is the same as the class itself. And here in this constructor, we increase the value of the counter by 1. Every time we create a new person, this method will run and will increase the value of the counter, which is by default 0, will increase it by 1. So now after the first person here, after the first person created, this method runs, and the counter is now not 0 but 0 plus 1. The counter is already 1. And after the second person created, this method runs again, and increase it, the person, that counter, from 1 to be 1 plus 1, already 2. So in this way we can count how many persons, objects we created during the life of our program.